Progress. And today is 3. This is part 3 of the masterclass. I've been doing it all week. It was a 3-day masterclass starting on Monday. Today is Friday and is understanding FICO for business funding. As I mentioned to you early part of the week, this is business funding basics for real estate investors. The reason why I say it's business funding basics is because it is a lot of misinformation in the marketplace. And now with the challenging economy that we are in, if you are serious about being able to leverage alternative funding options, and you want to create a capital stack that you would be able to leverage for real estate, now is the time to really expand your knowledge and expertise in this area. And I've went over during the week how most people who are in this space, whether, they're considered an expert, an influencer, what have you, are only able to go really surface level. Most of the individuals are telling people strategies that will never help the end user get to their end goal. And the end goal for, those who are serious about leveraging business credit or business funding for real estate is the ability to invest in a particular asset, whether that be fixer flips, whether that be multifamilies, whether that be short-term rentals, single families. The choice is yours. But at the end of the day, if that is what you desire, then you really need to understand how this works. It is much deeper than getting a business credit card. I said earlier this week, if all you want is a business credit card with American Express, or Chase Sapphire, or any high-end card that you desire, I totally get it. And, most people in this marketplace are helping people with that. And, if that is something that you desire, then, much of the information that I'm going to share with you, it's going to go over your head. I'm looking at my phone right now. Hey, Renee, how you doing? I apologize. There is a delay. Thanks for joining me today. So let's get into the topic at hand. I shared a lot of information this week. Some of the information I said would rub people the wrong way. And the reason why is because when it comes to business credit, when it comes to business funding, a lot of people like the idea because it has been sensationalized in this on many social media platforms, which with the sensationalization, most people have been misled to believe that they are going to get a windfall of money to fall into their lap with just having an LLC. And what happens is as those people are, a lot of people are waking up and wondering, okay, I am missing something. I got the LLC checked. I got the business, credit file on Dun & Bradstreet. I know my my paydex score. I have a NAV account, but I don't seem to be able to get to what it is that I want. Access to cash, access to credit, whether it's term loans, credit cards, lines of credit, or what have you. And I've always said, if you desire to get net 30 accounts and, gas cards in your business name, then okay, you go that route. But if you're really trying to do things of substance, and that is to be able to invest in real estate, many of those strategies aren't going to get you there. So what happens is that the fact that those strategies have been sensationalized and some people believe that they really work, it allows the end user to not really look at what is the decisioning factor at hand, and that's your personal credit. I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't like it. You're saying, hey, I have a business entity, Lorelia. I don't want to look at my personal credit. But those days are gone. Those days are gone. I even shared on Monday, I shared resources that you can begin to look at you don't even have to listen to me. Do the research yourself. Look at what lenders are using to be able to make a decisioning factor. There are no lenders out there who are going to just lend to you anything north of $10,000, may not even be $5,000, just because you have an LLC. I mean, let's be honest, they're just not doing it. I know you want to believe that, but it's not going to happen. And so if you don't have the 3 R's, I talked about that. You don't have the revenue, you don't have the receivables, you don't even have real estate. So what do you think the decision is going to be made of? Well, how do you think the lender is going to make the decision? Well, they're going to have to look at something. And unfortunately, that's where your personal credit comes. That's when your business credit comes at hand. So I going to do a recap, took you to the FICO website on Monday. I told you and showed you that FICO says that 90% of the lenders in the marketplace are using their predictive data analysis. I'm not new to this conversation. I've said it in many videos. Your ability to get funding is based on credit data. It's not based on credit scores. And let me make a note. Many people who are in the business credit space or who claim to know business credit can only go one layer deep. I can go many, 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 many layers. And that is why I have put this masterclass together. It's not to share my expertise. It's for you to be able to listen to what I say and now take it and do your research. Because many credit experts will not tell you that lenders are looking at credit data. If they have, they may have just heard it. But I have been saying the same thing like a broken record since 2019, 2020. And I have said your ability to get funding is based on data. It's not based on a credit score, because your personal credit consultant, educator, expert, or what have you have shared with you that there are credit bureaus. And I get it. They are. That is where you do your disputing. But where does your score come from? Your score comes from FICO. So even when you're going through the credit disputing process and you order your credit score from the bureaus, you know, at least some people should know, that your Vantage score is not a real score. Talked about that on day 2. And that when you get a FICO score from the bureaus, they're only giving you credit score 8. Well, on day 2, I did a deep dive and I broke down the other 28 scores that you have based on industry. FICO industry scores were not established until 2015. Prior to that, there were no industry scores based on industry. So day 2, I showed you the scores for auto loans, the scores that you would get for mortgages, the scores that you would get for credit cards. So whenever you are getting a personal credit card or you're getting a business credit card, those are the scores. The credit card portion of FICO is what lenders are looking at. That's why you'll have people to say, oh, wow, I have a business. I have a business entity, whether there's a corporation, LLC, or what have you, and I went and applied for a business credit card and I got approved. And they know deep down inside they don't have any revenue, but they may have put a dollar amount on their credit card application online. They know the money don't exist. That is called that right there is called your ability to get unsecured funding. Unsecured funding. So that is how that decision is made. It's made based on your personal credit. So now with that being said, I'm going to go into what I'm going to talk about for day 3. So day 3, I'm going to bring it all together because a person may be thinking, Lorelia, I want business funding. I want business credit. I lack the 3 R's. I don't have no revenue, don't have no receivables. I don't have any real estate. I really want to get funding in my own business. And I want to be able to invest in real estate. And with that being said, that is why you have industry experts who really, and I talked about this on day 1, they teach it in a silo. They're teaching you real estate, they're teaching you short-term rentals, they're fixing flipping homes, they're buying real estate, and then they keep the credit part in a whole different silo. There's nothing wrong with that if that is what you desire, but how do the two come together? And that is why I've shared with people that many times that information is based on a person being at chapter 15 and you're in chapter 1. Well, how does the person who at chapter 1 be able to bring those two worlds together? I can't speak on any other person's process. I can't speak on, what it is they teach people. I can only share with you the framework that I have actually helped people to put in place for themselves, for their business, in order to bring the two worlds together. So this, what I'm going to show you is how you take all the information I shared with you on day 1, all the information I shared with you with day 2, being a student of this information, going from how do I get business credit? What do I need to do with understanding, let me be an educated business owner and know that this is what lenders are looking for. And now I can position myself appropriately. Because many people want to think that business funding is this mystical place. It's not mystical. Lenders are lending. They want to lend. But when you don't even know what it is that they're looking for, what they're asking for, what they need, it leaves you puzzled. Well, I don't know. And so what happens is you have people who are telling you that you need to have been an expert in Airbnbs before you can get funding. It just really depends on what it is that you want to do. But this is what I do know. Having an understanding of funding does not mean you need to be an expert in whatever real estate you desire to get into, whether it is short-term rentals, whether it is multifamilies. What you need to understand is what the lender is looking for to get you to the money so you can invest in those things. That is what is important, because we're not talking about real estate funding. We're not talking about construction lending. We're not talking about that, because that's something totally different. Because then, of course, a lender is going to ask you about your experience in the industry. Have you ever, when it comes to fix and flips or, new construction or what have you. But when it comes to taking business funding, which is unsecured, I've said this Monday, I said it Tuesday, and bringing it to a secured asset, why do you want to do it? One is unsecured and one is secured. And if you're wondering, really, you keep bringing that home, why do you keep making emphasis on unsecured business funding? Because my thing is this, you need to know why you want to be able to use it. And if your answer is because I'm low on cash, I don't have no access to money, my personal credit is challenged, I'm going to default to business credit. That's not going to work. That's the reason why you're not getting the access to the funding you're looking for. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen and I'm going to share with you the framework that I yeah, I'm going to share with you the framework that I actually help my clients do to be able to get funding. So let me pull up my screen. Okay, so at this point, you should be able to see my screen. And let me just make it a little bigger. Okay, so this is my 3-pillar system funding framework, because many people have asked me, well, Loria, how is it that you've been able to help people get 6 figures in funding? And for some people who are not used to that conversation, people who are not used to even getting access to money, it is going to behoove you. You are going to be having a big question mark. Well, how? Because if you're saying, Loria, you're doing nothing illegal, you're not falsifying records, then how is it that you're able to help people? And this is a framework that I have created. I ain't gone to nobody else's YouTube and study their information or some other business credit person. Have the receipts, have over 600 plus videos right here on YouTube. I've been talking about credit since 2012 or 2013. So I know this. This is not something that I decided to do yesterday. So that's why I can go many layers deep beyond go to this credit report, go to this business credit website, and if your score is between this and this, you can get this business credit card. That's really what's being taught, in this space of business credit. So my 3-pillar system for you, you're going to think it is, it ain't much, but this right here is, why my clients get results. And so let me start with pillar 1. Establish and decide what you want to invest in. You need to know that. You need to know if you're doing fix and flips. You need to know if you want to do buy and holds. You need to know if you're doing tax liens or tax deeds. You want to know if you want to do short-term rentals, mobile homes, multifamilies. That's the first thing you need to decide on, because I can't share with you enough how many times people don't know what it is they want to do. They just want access to some money. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's the last place to start, because in your mind, you really think funding is hard to get. And I don't know who's teaching you, but what I share with my clients is that if you know the rules to the game and you know that this is a chess play and you're not playing checkers, funding can become your oyster. It's not hard. Problem is that you don't even know what it is that you want to do. And I have told people time and time again, if you are over the age of 35 years old and you still need another human to convince you that you need to get funding or that you can get funding, then you need a lot of help. You need help beyond just getting funding. There's a lot of trauma that's behind your relationship with money. And when you have that trauma, I talked about it, Monday. That's the reason why people don't even want to believe that your personal credit plays a part with you getting access to business credit and business funding, because it comes from a place of trauma. And if you understand what FICO is measuring, they're not looking at the things that you think with personal credit. Yes, they are looking at utilization, the types of credit you have. That does play a part. But I shared with you on Monday that it goes deeper. It is an artificial intelligence software. That is what FICO is looking at. So they're looking at your behavior. because lenders want to know, do you have a tendency to get money and not pay it back? They can measure that. You can get anybody you want on the internet to credit sweep your credit report, but they're going to be able to know that. And that right there is the reason why many people aren't believing that getting access to six figures in funding is possible, because they have never even had access to 2,000. And if they have, 9 times out of 10, if they have had a $10,000 credit card or whatever, you've heard me say it before. They weren't they wasn't financially responsible, and they blew the bag. So now they continue staying in a cycle of rinse and repeat, getting the bag, blowing the bag, getting the bag, blowing the bag. And nothing long-term will sustain you doing that. So understand, this framework that I'm sharing with you is for the person who is looking to go the long route in terms of building wealth, not just talking about it, because it's the end thing that, on social media. I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it for my children and my grandchildren. I want to build wealth. No, really understand how to put a sustainable framework, system, blueprint in place for you to really be a maverick in this funding game. So going back to pillar 1, you need to know what you want to invest in. You need to know, because then it goes to pillar 2, because depending on what it is that you want to invest in, business credit, business funding may not even be what you need to be looking at. That's why I said, why would you want to use unsecured funding to be paired with a secured asset? You need to know that. Because if you're investing in FHA, you can't run that play if you're doing it legally. I ain't gonna go into those mortgage people who are gonna say, well, you can do this, that, and the other. But if you're doing it legally, you're not supposed to be using down payment funds from business credit or business funding. So if a person is saying, I want to do a buy and hold multifamily, do the 3.5% down or whatever FHA. I'm no FHA expert, don't help people get to funding. And I know that that's the route I want to go. Then you don't need to be looking at no business credit and business funding. Now you see why it's so important to know that. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every student I've worked with have been able to reach their financial goals. But this is what I've noticed between those who have and those who didn't reach their goals. The ones who didn't reach their goals didn't really know what they wanted. They kind of took it at, I just want to get some funding. And that's why I tell people, if all you want is funding, I showed you that on Monday. Go into Google search and just look for some funding. Just do it. Like, it's not hard to get funding. It's not hard to find the individuals, the lenders, or what have you, who can get you funding. But when you want to put a strategy in place that includes you getting 6 figures in funding that can create a capital stack, that's going to take some strategy. Because going to pillar 2, what type of funding is needed for your deal, you need to know what type of deal you're going to do. What's my strategy for the funds? If I'm doing a DSCR loan, okay, I still got to come to the table with some money. Yeah, the DSCR loan lender may not look at bank statements. They're not looking at tax returns. They're looking at the asset. They're looking at the deal. But if I'm going to leverage that, I need to know. Because understand, I know many of y'all online, people will tell you information about DSCR loans. Many of them aren't doing them. They're not working with lenders to get them approved. So now you still need to have the liquidity. You still need to have the liquidity, even if you're going to leverage the business funding or the business credit. Yeah, I've talked about that on videos. That's a strategy I help clients with. But we also got to talk about liquidity, because once again, nobody wants to hear this. You can't just say I don't have anything. Like, most people want to invest in real estate, they want to do big things, but they're like, I had no money. I had nobody. I had access to nothing. And I want business credit, business funding to be my catalyst. And that's why it's easy to fall for those, those little, I call them gimmicks. Go to this bank, go to this credit union. You got an LLC. You're going to get 10,000 here, 10,000 there. You're going to go to 5 banks, and that's what's going to get you your 50K. Okay, good luck. Outside of you lying, you don't have no revenue. You don't have no real estate. Good luck with that strategy. But I digress. I'm not here to prove nothing to people, but this is what I know. In the next couple of years, many people are going to lose out. They're going to lose out on the opportunities that are available because they are following strategies that just ain't going to help them. So that's what pillar 1 is. That's what pillar 2 is. And understand pillar 3 is put together a strategy of 1 and 2. And that's where I come in of, will you leverage your QFE, qualified funding entity, to buy a real estate asset without a mortgage or with a mortgage? Will my QFE be used in conjunction? Not just the thing, in conjunction. That's why I tell people it's a capital stack. The QFE that you're creating, qualified funding entity, is a capital stack. Will I be using it for hard money? Will I be using it for an investor loans? Will I be using it for something else? But what I can't use it for is I can't use it for FHA. So that's why I tell people, see, what I do is much more bigger than, let me help you get business credit. I tell people, go to the bozos online. I shouldn't say that. Go to the people online to help you get some business credit. Like, they gonna help you. They got all the tricks, the strategies, whatever. Get your business credit. And that's why it leaves people like, oh, I got the business credit, but I can't get the real estate, or I have real estate, but I'm unable to build the business funding because it is not brought together. It's not brought together. And so this is high level stuff. I tell you that this is not for the beginner. That's why I said, know what you want. I'm not your, person, lady, woman who just going to help you get a business credit card. I think there's enough people that can help you in that area. I'm not even your person who's going to help you get your next short-term rental. I'm the person who's going to help you get to the money. That is what I understand. And like I said, only you can only tell newbies that you need to be an expert in short-term rentals or fix and flips to get access to money. That's not the case. That's not the case. Yesterday I was on 2 different webinars with lenders, one in terms of just the business funding, lines of credit, remember, unsecured capital, and then another one for just the real estate at hand. So I'm doing this all the time. And the one thing that I know that gets people approvals have nothing to do with your ability to, at least with one, and that's the business funding, is with you being a maverick with real estate, at least not on the provider side, which is what I do. It's different for the person who is looking to get the funding. Because another thing that I run into for the person who is going back to pillar 1, you're very clear at what it is that you want to do. You need to know some lenders will not lend to people if you are new to fix and flips. That's something to consider. Especially if you are doing the burst strategy and you're turning it into maybe a short-term rental. You need to know if the lender is open to working with first-time individuals, especially in this economy. Many of them are not. So you as once again, the person on the other end receiving the funds, you need to know that. So that's why cookie cutter approaches, and this is what I find the reason why a lot of people aren't getting results, is you sat on a webinar, and even with the information that I'm sharing with here, it can't fit everyone because your situation could be different. So be very careful of hearing something and then trying to massage it to work for your situation, because what happens is that's where frustration comes in, because you're trying to cookie cut something for what it is that you want, and it may not work. That's why you have heard me say in other videos, relationships are important. I know for me, lenders I've worked with, DSCR lenders, they're all created equal. They're not all the same. Any person who's telling you that's in the loan space saying they all the same, they're not. FHA may be that way, but investor loans are not. And so with that being said, I know with me, I'm not going to give nobody a whole bunch of information because I'm doing it. So I can get on the phone with the lender and say, hey, you know what, we're going to be leveraging some of the business funding, the business credit. What's your feeling on what's your, how do you feel about us, being able to do that? I'm putting it out, for my clients to let the lender know. See, that's something that you can't do as the person on the other end. If you can, then that's great. You are ahead of most. But most people, because lenders are not there to do strategy with you. Their only job is to get you qualified for the loan. Do you have the liquidity to be able to move forward and satisfy the loan requirements? That's their role. Their role is not to do strategy. So that's why for me, I know that pillar 1 and pillar 2 are important, because no lender is going to sit on the phone with you and do pillar 1 and do pillar 2 with you. They're just not. So you need to know that. You need to know your exit entry. It's a lot of things that you need to know beyond just, I'm just trying to get some money. You just getting some money is a very amateur strategy, because the money is there. So with that being said, I don't plan to be long. I know I have people on. I don't have any questions today, but I just wanted to wrap up the masterclass. Went over, day 1, Monday, day 2 on Wednesday, and today is Friday, and I brought it all together. But just to put a disclaimer, this is not for those who are looking for a quick win. I've shared with you some things that will literally can change your life if you understand them, because most people want you to believe that it's either, business funding is a mystical and magical form of money. And when you believe that, that is why you can't get any wins and don't really have a clear strategy with getting the funding. You do not have to operate like that. For the last 3 days, I have been telling you, lenders are lending. You just need to know what they're looking at and position yourself appropriately. That's all. FICO says 90% of the lenders use them. So the 10%, I guess, are the ones who doing paydex scores and all the other stuff. Which pool do you want to be in? Do you want to be in the 10%, or do you want to be in the 90%? You need to know that. Do you want to continue going through 2023, still saying, I want to get some business funding? Okay, well, if that's you, go on Google and get it. Or you want to be the person who says, business funding is something that I'm looking to leverage for my next real estate deal. Now that I know some things, I can literally have a conversation with a bank, with a credit union, with a secondary lender, and come from a place of authority, like I know some things, as opposed as an amateur where you like, I don't know something, I don't know anything. And I don't say when I say position yourself in a place of authority, not in a abrasive place, because there's people who want to position themselves in a place of authority and they don't be knowing nothing. Like, I'm on the phone with them and I'm like, nah, that ain't what that is. Like, I literally had a conversation with someone this week, and person thought, oh yeah, I got my deal funded, only to find out it was transactional funding. Because I told the person, that person said, I'm talking to someone and I'm going to get 100% of financing. And I said, well, you know what? You need to stick with that person, because if you're a first-time investor, there's no one that I know that can get you funding at 100%. So, you go ahead and stick with that lender you're working with. Well, after the conversation continued, come to find out, person couldn't even use the funding. What they thought the funding was, it wasn't. It was transactional funding. And if you know what transactional funding is, it's not for what that person needed it for, because they were looking for buy and holds. Transactional funding is not for buy and holds. So once again, yes, be an educated person, come from a place of authority, but also be, humble enough to say, I don't know what I don't know, to get help. Because other than that, is going to just leave you frustrated, and it doesn't have to be. But I'm going to wrap this up. If you want to see any of the replays that were for Monday and Tuesday, they are available. You just go to www.diycredithub.com. Understand that is a course that I am putting together. It's the basics for real estate investors who want to understand and get access to business funding. Yes, it is the basics. It's bare bone basics, primarily a lot of emphasis on personal credit, because that is what it is. Whether you want to believe it or not, you can play around with your LLCs all you want. Good luck. Try to get some funding with your fancy LLC and all this other stuff, your 411 information on 401 and their virtual address and all that other stuff. Good luck with that. You won't get no funding. You'll get maybe a $2,000 credit card. But if you're looking to do some big things in terms of 6 figures in funding or more, you will learn more about that. So you can get day 1, day 2, and day 3. You can get it for free. Day 3 will be up for 24 hours, just like day 2. Day 2 is not no longer available. You can't get access to it, or day 1. But if you go to www.DIYCreditHub, you can get access to both. If you want to be able to upgrade, get access to the resources that I shared with you on this masterclass, they are available for you for an upgrade. It does come with some bonuses, and those bonuses are listed on the website. And so you can learn more there. So it was a pleasure talking to, those who were on. I see there are some people live, and I know there is a delay. And also leave me your thoughts, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Share with me your journey with being able to get access to business funding over 6 figures. And until the next time, see you in the next video. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.